The time is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon and welcome to the midday news on T Solid Radio. I am Joy Akin Olamigoke. First, the major headlines. Federal government approves over 4 billion naira for fueling police vehicles. And World Bank lists Nigeria, 9 others as countries with high debt risk exposure. And on the foreign scene, Afghanistan war, Biden says he doesn't regret troop withdrawal. And on the world of sports, Olympics, NFF rates Nigeria hot and best in 13 years despite football team's absence. And moving on to the news in details. The Minister of Police Affairs, Alhaji Mohammed Dingyadi, said the federal government has approved over 4 billion naira in the 2021 budget for fueling of police vehicles. Head of Press and Public Relations in the ministry, Mr. Bolaji Kazim, disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday in Abuja. Dingyadi said the amount would cover expenditure on fuel supply to police commands in the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. He said the approval was the first in the history of Nigerian police that over 4 billion naira was approved for fueling of police vehicles in the country, adding that the ministry would sustain the gesture. The minister pledged the commitment of the ministry to prioritize the training and development of police officers. He said the Ministry of Police Affairs, in conjunction with the leadership of the Nigerian police, had developed strategies to meet the training and development needs of police officers. And the Nigerian Communication Commission (NCC) says it has exceeded its 36 billion naira projected revenue from spectrum license fees for 2021, having recorded over 150 billion naira from its revenue source within the 5 months of the year. The figure, according to the Commission, represents over 400% increase in revenue budget performance in respect of spectrum fees generated by the Commission between January 1st and May 31st, 2021, reflecting significant contribution to the revenue drive of the federal government. It, however, stated that the 150 billion spectrum revenue achieved in the first half of the year has been remitted to the federal government in line with the provisions of the Nigerian Communication Act 2003, which mandates the Commission to remit proceeds from spectrum resources wholly into the government's consolidated revenue fund. And the World Bank has stated that Nigeria is among a list of top 10 countries with high debt risk exposure. It stated this in the financial statement for International Development Association, which was among the World Bank FY21 audited financial statement released on Monday. The financial statement said IDA faces 2 types of credit risk: country credit risk and counterparty credit risk. Nigeria was rated 5th on the list with $1.7 billion IDA debt stock, while India led the list with 22 billion IDA debt stock, followed by Bangladesh with 18.1 billion IDA debt stock, Pakistan with $16.4 billion IDA debt stock, and Vietnam with 14.1 billion IDA debt stock. Other countries on the list in order of appearance included Ethiopia with 11.2 billion IDA stock, Kenya with 10.2 billion IDA debt stock, Tanzania with 8.3 billion IDA debt stock, Ghana with 5.6 billion IDA debt stock, and Uganda with 4.4 billion IDA debt stock. It added that there was a single borrower limit for IDA, which for FY22 had set at $44 billion, 25% of 180.9 billion of equity as of June 30th, 2021. And you are still listening to the midday news on T Solid Radio. Still to come is the foreign and the sport news. Do remember to download our app T Solid on Play Store or log on to www.tsolid.tv. You can as well follow us on our various social media platforms on our T Solid Radio TV. Moving on to the foreign scene, United States President Joe Biden has said he does not regret his move to withdraw troops from Afghanistan as Taliban militants continue to make rapid advances. The United States led military campaign began in 2001 following the 9/11 attacks on American soil, but now most of the foreign troops have pulled out. The Taliban groups has now seized 9 of the country's 34 provincial capitals and have threatened more. Speaking at the White House on Tuesday, Mr. Biden said the United States was keeping the commitment it had made to Afghanistan, such as providing close air support, paying military salaries, and supplying Afghan forces with food and equipment. The Washington Post cited unnamed official as saying the capital, Kabul, could fall to the Taliban within 90 days based on United States military assessment. And all civil servants in Guinea will now be required to prove that they have been vaccinated against COVID-19 before they are allowed to access their workstations. The new directions follow a special cabinet meeting on Tuesday. President Alpha Conde directed the Prime Minister to ensure that ministers and all government staff obtain a health certificate to allow them to work. He instructed government officers to take vigorous steps and act to protect the public from the risk of infection. The president has also demanded that people entering Guinea from countries affected by the Delta variant must be vaccinated, as is the practice everywhere. He also announced the strict enforcement of preventive measures to limit the virus from spreading among citizens. These measures include mandatory mask wearing, the indefinite closure of nightclubs and other popular and often crowded leisure venues. And a British man has been arrested in Germany on suspicion of spying for Russia. German federal prosecutors said the man, named only as David S., worked at the British Embassy in Berlin. He allegedly passed documents to Russian intelligence at least once in exchange for an unknown amount of money. He was arrested in Potsdam outside Berlin on Tuesday, and his home and workplace have been searched. The arrest was the result of a joint United Kingdom German investigation. The statement reached the London Metropolitan Police have confirmed the arrest of a 57-year British national in Germany, as well as the involvement of the Met's Counter-Terrorism Command. German authorities are in charge of the investigation, but officers will continue to work with German counterparts, the police said. And on the world of sport, the Nigerian Football Federation has rated the recent performance by Nigeria at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics as one of the best in the history of the country. This is as the Football Federation failed to qualify the Super Eagles and Super Falcons for Tokyo 2020, despite football being Nigerians' favorite sport, with a historic Olympic gold the pinnacle of its success. In a statement, the Football Federation also congratulated Sports Minister Sunday Dari for a commendable out at Tokyo 2020 Olympics and lambasted the immediate past Sports Minister Solomon Dalong for a woeful Rio 2016 outing where Nigeria won only bronze. The statement read, the Nigerian Football Federation has felicitated with the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development and the person of the Minister of Youth and Sports, Mr. Sunday Dari, on Nigeria's outing at the 32nd Olympics, which ended in Tokyo, Japan, few days ago. And the Nigerian continent may not have returned with the harvest of medals that have been hoped for, but there are bright lights all around and some brilliant individual performances that give hope for the next games in Paris. And finally, India's top wrestler Vinesh Phogat has been suspended for misconduct at the Tokyo Olympics, where she had been one of the country's top medals up. The 26-year-old from a famed Indian wrestling dynasty went into the games as world number one in the 53 kilogram but crashed out in the quarterfinals. Wrestling Federation of India Assistant Secretary Vinod Thoma said that Phogat has been suspended on 3 counts of indiscipline. Phogat refused to share an athlete's village room in India's other women wrestlers, would not wear the team's official shirt in competition, and would not train with the rest of the team, Thoma said. With that, we've come to the end of the news, a recap of the major headlines. Federal government approves over 4 billion naira for fueling police vehicles. And World Bank lists Nigeria, 9 others as countries with high debt risk exposure. And on the foreign scene, Afghanistan war, Biden says he doesn't regret troop withdrawal. And on the world of sport Olympics, NFF rates Nigeria's out and best in 13 years, despite football team's absence. And ensure to go by all precautionary measures to stay safe from COVID 19, as recommended by the World Health Organization and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control. And do remember to download our app T Solid on Play Store or log on to www.tsolid.tv. You can also follow us on our various social media platforms on our T Solid Radio TV. And the news was compiled and edited by Olorun Ishola Mary Obolafe. I am Joy Akin Olamigoke. Good afternoon and many thanks for listening.